Alright everybody, welcome back. I'm going to try and get through this tutorial. I've been trying to do this the last few nights and it just has not happened. Things keep getting interrupted. So I'm going to try this one more time and just try and get through this. This tutorial is going to be a quick how we kind of work with the 260 Qs. Basically all the Q models we just made. As promised, I was going to show you how to bend and twist and move those around. So we're going to create a column where we're going to twist some 260 Qs around it. So we're going to go start in your toolbox. And we are going to want to go right away to File and open up your Arch and Column Builder also, so make sure you have that file open as well. Okay, and then I'm going to go to Object in my Arch and Column Builder file and going to select New, and then I'm going to name this 260Q Column without the letter X. 260Q column, and then click OK. And then I'm going to go back to my toolbox. Excuse me. Back to the toolbox, and if you go to your objects, you should have your Q models here in your objects now. And using the selection tool, I'm going to select our 260 model. Control C to copy. Unselect, Window, Arch and Column Builder. Control V to paste. Edit. Locate, center about origin. Then I'm going to go ahead and go to the object viewpoint and frame all views. Alright, I'm going to mouse wheel out a little bit on this top view so we have a little bit of room to work. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to size this because we're going to wrap this around a column, and when we wrap that up we're going to use up some of its linear length. So if we just twist it, it's going to still be the full 60 inches long, and that's not going to be the case. I looked at some of the columns I've done like this, and it seems like the average is about 36 inches of total height once I kind of wrap them and twist them around the column. So I'm going to go to the Add Cube here, and in the front view I'm going to hold and drag out a new cube, double click on it to bring up the cube editor. I'm going to make this 10, and I'm just tabbing through 36, tab by 10, and click OK. And then I'm going to edit and locate, center about origin. Now I'm going to go to the front view, going to go to one view, and we've done this before, but we've basically created a measuring stick. Going to go to this and change this to the wireframe view so I can see everything. I didn't set this up really. Make sure your snapping is enabled. Make sure your grid is set to 0.25. Did that kind of quick. Okay, so you've got your snapping set to 0.25 and it's enabled. So what we need to do now is I'm going to select this model, and we need to scale this so it fits inside of our 36 inches here. So I'm going to select that and then go to the non-uniform scale here. Isolate the Y by left-clicking on just the Y, and then I'm going to click and drag down. Okay, you see how this is scaling. Instead of scaling to the middle, it's scaling to the end. It's keeping this end anchored and it's scaling. I don't want to be doing that, so to fix that, if your model is doing that, to fix that, go ahead and select the image again, and then go to Build, and then select Join Solids. And what this does is it kind of recenters the center point on the model, on the object. So now we're going to leave it selected and go to the non-uniform scale, and going to click and drag down, and now as you see it's scaling to the center of the screen. Now don't let go of it, and it should snap to exactly 3 feet. So go to the selection tool, we can mouse wheel in, and you can see now we've got it to fit exactly inside of our 36 inches. Alright, so now we can select the box that we made and go ahead and hit delete on your keyboard, and now your 260 is now a 236. Okay, go back to front view and all, and I'm going to go to the top view and select the wireframe view. Select my model here, and I'm going to re-enable X, Y, and Z by right-clicking on them. Select the Move tool, and then we're going to take this and we're going to snap it down into this lower corner. So we're taking it off of the center, and we're taking it out and we're putting it in this lower left-hand quadrant here. And as you can see, the 12 o'clock is right on that axis, and the 3 o'clock is right on that axis. That's what we want. Alright, so now if we've done that, now we're going to use the modifier tool, which we've used before, and that's right here, Warp Modifier. So go ahead and select that, and then come out here and hold and click and drag a box out, I don't know, about that big. And you're going to get the Modify selector, and what you want to do this time, we're not going to bend this time, we're actually going to twist. So go ahead and select Twist and click OK. Going to Edit, Locate, Center about Origin, and now as you can see, our modifier is offset. We're not right on center. And that's exactly what we want because we're going to twist this. So I'm going to go select the modifier again and use the non-uniform scale tool. Make sure your X, Y, and Z is available. And you can left click and you can kind of scale this out. So I'm going to scale it out a little bit bigger to about right there. And then going to grab the move tool, isolate the Y, go to the front view and click and drag and pull this down to the bottom. Let's zoom in here. I don't want this touching right on the bottom, so I'm going to click it one more time to right there. So I'm dragging it to about right there. Again, keep your snapping enabled the whole time. And then I'm going to go back to the non-uniform scale, re-enable my X, Y, and Z. And then you're going to come out here and right-click and drag left and right to scale this up or down. So we're going to right-click and drag right. It might take you a couple tries to get it all the way pulled out. And you want to make sure you've got this all the way around your object. So now that you've done that and it's scaled, go ahead and make sure you have your modifier selected again. Edit. Locate again, center about origin, and what that does is now it's snapped exactly on center with everything. Alright, and your object should be inside of your modifier just like that. Okay, so now we are ready to bind the modifier. So the modifier is already selected. I'm going to right click on my model, so I've got both selected. You're going to go to Build, down to Modifiers, and then select Bind Modifier. And now going to double click on the modifier, and that'll bring up the modifier editor. And if you go to right here, you'll see twist. Now the maximum we can twist is 360 degrees. So we're going to twist this 360 degrees. Select OK. And you get this really cool looking thing going on here. Alright. So now once you've done that, you're going to go to Build and Join Solids. And that will get rid of the modifier. And if you go to the regular 3D view here, the smooth shaded, you can see you now have this kind of funky, squirrely, twisted, corkscrewed 260. Alright, that's kind of a lazy twist. I want to be twisted up a little bit more than that. So I'm going to go back to the wireframe view here on the top. And I am going to take the modifier, select the modify tool again, bring out another modifier. We're going to twist again. Edit, locate, center about origin, and then non-uniform scale. And I'm going to left click in the top and left and right to get this so it's engulfing, so it's surrounding the entire object. And then the move tool and the Y, isolate the Y. In the front view, going to drag it down to the bottom. Again, mouse wheeling in. Now you can see these ends are kind of distorted. You don't need to worry about that because for the type of column we're making, you won't even see the ends. They're going to be hidden inside the, there's going to be some 5-inch balloons hiding those. Okay, so now we need to use the non-uniform scale here again. Make sure your X, Y, and Z are available. And then right click in the front view and drag to the right. And drag your modifier up and around till you're around the whole thing. Edit, locate, center about origin. Okay, now we are going to bind this modifier. So while it's still selected, I'm going to right click on this model. I'm going to go to Build and going to go to Modifier, Bind Modifier. Now we can double click on the modifier and we can rotate it another 360 degrees. Click OK. And now we have this really cool, nice, tight twist going on here. You get a little distortion down here on the bottom. Don't worry about that. That'll be fixed in just a moment. So we're going to go to Build and Join Solids. Gets rid of the modifier. And now, this is something we haven't done before, but this is something kind of cool you can do in Animator. What we can do is convert this into what's called a subdivided, and that creates a really smooth, really slick looking surface. Because as you can see, this is a little choppy because we've kind of bent and twisted it up and the vertices are kind of showing. So while you've still got this selected, you're going to go to Build, and you're going to do Convert to Subdivided. And now look what we've got. Pretty slick, huh? Alright. Now, we need to take this and we are going to duplicate it. Let's go to the front and go to one view. We are going to Control C, Control V while we've got it selected. Going to go to Edit and Rotate, and we rotate about the Y 90 degrees. Okay. Control C, Control V again. Edit. Rotate. Rotate about the Y 90 degrees again. Control C, Control V, Edit, rotate Y 90 degrees, and we now have all 4 of our 260 Qs. I've unselected, and what you've just created is this really cool looking candy cane looking thing here. Alright, so we've just twisted some 260s up. Basically 4 260 Qs are now twisted excuse me, twisted around a column. Alright, so we're going to leave that there for a second. Back to the all views. Now when you go to the the wireframe view, it's going to look something like this. Your system might slow down a little bit because it's going to be working kind of hard right now. So let's switch to this top view. This switches back to the regular 3D shaded, smooth shaded, because that's a little less tag scene on the system. Okay, and we also didn't want to twist these all as a group. You can build, excuse me, we could have built all 4 of these at one time and joined them as solids and then twisted the whole thing, but then we can't select individual 260 Qs to add our colors if we're building a column or showing a column to a client. So this way we can actually select one 260 Q and put a specific color on just that 260 Q. So that's why we followed that procedure. Okay, now we are going to go back to our, you know what, let's stay here in the arch and column builder. Let's go to Object, and let's go to your 11-inch quad 1 twist. Going to go to the object viewpoint, and I'm going to frame the view so I can see the whole thing here. You know what, let's frame all views so we can get them all framed up there. And then I'm going to select Control A to select all, Control C to copy. Window, I'm going to go back, I'm sorry, not window, Object. I'm going to go back to my 260Q column. I'm going to hit Control V to paste. And then I think what I need to do, this is getting a little bit crowded in here, so let's go ahead and grab your drag select tool, select your 260s. You know what, scratch that. Let's do this. Let's go to Object and let's do New. And don't need to name this because we're just going to make a quick little workbench here, so just leave it as Object 01 and click OK. Now hit Control V, and we're going to paste our column into a different object because we've got to do some work with it here. Okay, from the front view, we're going to one view. Okay, Control A to select all. Go to Build and go to Ungroup, or hit U on your keyboard, and that's going to completely ungroup all of your balloons. And now what we need to do is drag select and get rid of everything but the bottom 3. So drag select a box around all of those, and then hit delete on your keyboard and get rid of those. Okay, now we need to, these bottom ones here, these are 11-inch. We're going to make these 9-inch, and we're going to make these 5-inch. I'm sorry, 8-inch. 11, 8, and 5. Okay, so the 11s are fine. This middle group right here is the one we need to take down to 8-inch. So let's go to our Add Sphere. Let's drag a sphere out, and then double click on it. And let's make the diameter of this sphere 8 inches. And then I'm going to use the Move tool to drag it down over here. And then let's go to Wireframe View. And now I'm going to put this kind of right in the middle where I'm going to be working. I'm just mouse wheeling in. Alright, now hit Control, just hit H to hide that sphere. And then drag Select tool. And you're going to drag a real thin box right through here. So you have this quad is now selected. Going to go to Build and Group. If we don't group these, they will not scale together. And now we're going to hit Shift and H to unhide our small sphere that we have right there. And now with the Scale tool, not the non-uniform, but the regular Scale tool, select the regular Scale tool and hold and drag to the left until this is about the same size as your other sphere. Now we're going to grab the selection tool, and I'm going to grab my sphere and I'm going to drag it in here and mouse wheel in. As you can see, I am now the same size, or close enough to the same size as my 8-inch. So I can go ahead and delete that now. And next thing I'm going to do is make another sphere. Click and drag out another sphere. Double click on that. We're going to set this one to 5 inches. Select OK. And this I'm going to drag into probably right around here. So I'm snapping to this center line on the balloon. So I want to be right about there because it's probably where it's going to end up. And go ahead and hit H to hide that. Your drag select tool again. Drag a small box around these. Shift H to unhide your little sphere you just made. and then build, sorry, go to build and select group. So we group those. And now we're going to go to the scale tool and left click and scale this all the way down to 5 inches. And now you can see, oops, that we've got this exactly 5 inches. Okay, so now you can delete your little reference sphere there. So we go 11, 8, and then 5. All right, and we're going to go ahead and leave everything grouped right now. You're going to want to go back here and go to your smooth shaded view, and we're going to create a new material. So double click on new, and we're going to set the transparency for this material to 0.25. Select OK, and then we're going to select this top group of 5 and apply the clear to that, and then we'll select drag select with your drag selection tool this bottom 11 inches, and we're going to apply the same texture to those. Okay, now these are all still grouped, so go ahead and select the 8 inch you just made, isolate the Y, select the move tool, and then we'll pull that down until you see it intersect. I don't know if you can see that on your screen or not, but I'm getting a little distortion right where it's touching. So that's the minimum I want to go there, the maximum I want to go, and then I'm going to select again with the selection tool, the 5 inch we just made, make sure the Y is still isolated. I'm going to pull these down, and same thing, I'm going to look for the distortion that I'm getting when these actually contact, which is right there. Now, once you've done that, if you want, you can go to all, and you can see what you've got is basically kind of a tapered base of a column going on here. So go ahead and select your material. Once you've got that all lined up the way you like it, go to your material you just made and just select delete. It's going to tell you have it on material. You know that, say OK, and that gets rid of it, and now everything's back to being that fantastic gray color. Alright, so we've got this nice little tapered stack going on here. Let's go to all, view all. Alright, okay, Control A to select all. Go to build and ungroup, and then we're going to select build and group. Okay, so now this entire thing we just made is one group. We'll be fixing that later, but for now it needs to be one group. So let's go now back to our object and the 260Q column that we've been working on here. And I'm going to drag select around my twisted up 260s here, select the move tool, isolate the Y, and I'm just going to run this up. It might lag a little bit like mine is because this is a very complex shape. And I'm going to put that right about there. Going to go back to Object and Object 01, which we've been using where we made our little stack. Going to select that, Control C to copy. Going to go to Object, 260Q column, Control V to paste that. And it's already sitting on the ground, so we're good. And then I'm going to grab my cool 260 twisted thingy here that I made, and I'm going to have my Y isolator and my move tool, and I'm going to drag that, scratch that, use the drag select tool, and drag around all 4 of these. There we go. Now move tool, isolate the Y, and drag this down to where it kind of just nests down in there. I just kind of make it look good. So probably right about in there. Going to go back to the selection tool, going to mouse wheel out. And then I'm going to click on this thing we have on the bottom here, this group, these 3 quads. Select that, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Edit, we're going to rotate custom. And we are going to rotate about the Z-axis, and we're going to go 180 degrees. Select OK. Back here with the Y-axis still isolated and the move tool selected, we're going to slide this up and sit it right on top of our 260Qs to where it just looks good. Like that. I've unselected, going to zoom out a little bit, and then I'm going to put, just to finish this off, I'm going to go to my objects. Scratch that. I am going to go to my window and go to my toolbox, back to my toolbox, which should still be open. Object, I'm going to go to models, and I'm going to grab a 16-inch model by selecting it. Control C to copy. Window, arch and column builder, back here. Control V to paste. And then select edit, locate, center about origin. Move tool, isolate the Y, and I'm going to drag that up so I can sit it on top of my column. Excuse me. Zoom back in here so I can see what I'm doing. And now I'm going to need that transparency texture again. We shouldn't have deleted it yet, I'm sorry. So go back and double click on new and make this 0.25. Select OK, and then apply that to our 16 inch we have on the top here. It should still be selected. And then with Y isolated and the move tool, I'm going to drag this down, and you can see it in the top view up here. You can see it just making contact right there. Go back to that texture you just made and go ahead and delete it. Select OK, and now it's gone. And now if we go to the object viewpoint and we frame all views, mouse wheel out a little bit over here, we have created in the one view a nice 260Q column with a tapered base. Now there's one more step we need to do, and that's to group all of these so we can apply colors to it in a standard spiral pattern. You can leave it like this, of course, if you don't want to and you want to just kind of randomly put colors on it, but I'm going to go ahead and group mine. I'm going to go back to all. I'm sorry, scratch that. No, stay in the perspective view. Okay, now I'm going to go to Control A to select all, because we've got some groups and stuff going on here, and you're going to go to Build, Ungroup, and go ahead and do Build and Ungroup again, just in case we have some extra groups we don't know about. Alright, so now I'm going to do what we did earlier, where I'm going to select with my right mouse button, select this balloon, and this balloon. Then I'm going to rotate the view using the viewpoint. And then I'm going to find the 260 that's kind of close to this 5-inch, and I'm going to select that one as well as part of this group. And you can hit hide real quick to hide that one to see where it lands, and I can see that it lands right here. I'm just hitting H and H and Shift H. So H hides, Shift H unhides. So if I hit H, I can see that that balloon lands right here. So I'm thinking that my pattern should continue probably with this 5-inch. So I'm going to go back to the selection mode. Going to right click this 5-inch, this 8-inch, and this 11-inch. And then I'm going to select Build, and I'm going to select Group. Alright, then moving along, I'm going to do this balloon, and this balloon, and this balloon. Rotate around. And then I'm going to select, okay, so this one is the one that's in the group that we just did, and this is the one next to it. So go ahead and select that one. And then same thing down here. As you look around, as I mouse over the top of this balloon, that one's the one we just grouped. So the one next to it that's not is this one. So I'm going to right click, Build, and Group. Going to rotate view. And then I'm going to go back to the selection tool. That one's grouped, this one is not. Right click. And then if I go down here, you can see that this is selected, but this one right here is not. So I'm going to rotate a little bit. Back to the selection tool. Going to have grouped, ungrouped, moving around to the right. So I'm going to select this one. And then same on the bottom. My next one that's not grouped is here. Right click, Build, and Group. And now whatever is left is the only ones that are not grouped. So the next thing I'm going to do is find this one, and this one. And then same here, rotate my view. And then find the one that is not grouped, which is right there. And then same down here, find the one that's not grouped, which is this one, and this one. Build and Group. I'm going to go ahead and go to File and Save at this point, because this is actually done now. This may take a second to save. Let's let it finish saving. Okay. I'm going to go to my All View. Going to go to the Viewpoint Edit, and going to go to Frame All Views. Then mouse wheel out a little bit. And then just to show you real quick, let's go to our toolbox. Actually, before we forget, let's go to this object that we created earlier where we were just working in, and go to go to Object and go to Delete. And you are deleting object 01, yes. And that gets rid of that object we were using just to kind of have a clean place to work. Now, what we can do is go to our toolbox, and let's go to object. Let's do jewel tones this time. So let that populate. And let's do this, let's do a little jewel lime and a little jewel magenta. And maybe this cool teal color and blue. Whatever colors you want to, just select 4 colors. Control C to copy. Back to window, go to your arch and column builder. Control V to paste. And then delete right away. And then what we can do is you can go in here. And from the top view, I'm going to select one. And we'll put magenta on that one. And we'll put lime green opposite that one. And then we'll put this sweet jewel teal right here. And then sapphire blue right there. Oh, that's beautiful. And then for this top balloon, let's make this jewel lime green. So what you see you can do here now, go to one view. We have created, let it finish populating, this very cool 260Q column. So there you go. That's how you do the 260Q tutorial. You can go ahead and just double click on each one of these if they'll come up and delete them as they're coming up. Delete, and that's going to take them all back, take your model all back to gray. Just want to be able to show you. It's a quick way to check to make sure you've got all your grouping correct and that it's twisting correct. If your grouping is not correct, you can always select it and ungroup, and then reselect everything and try regrouping it again and try and get it correct. The thing with grouping is you can always ungroup. Joining solids you cannot, but grouping and ungrouping is available. Okay, I think that's it for now. Go ahead and save your project. And we are pretty much done with the kind of construction tutorials. I think I'm going to actually maybe put together like a pop quiz or a test, and whoever's been following these tutorials, you can actually go through, and I'm going to give you some things to do, and maybe possibly even get like a certificate or something we can send out to you for completing the course. All right, and then after that, what's going to be up next? I think I'm going to actually post a file of all of my all of the kind of furniture and risers that I've built, so all of the kind of non-balloon stuff that we can put into the room, and that's really the kind of the selling point of this. What we're doing here is that it's not just balloons. We can actually design and build your entire room. We can even make the room look like your room, and we'll be getting into that next. But instead of having you actually sit down and build a table or build a plate or build a fork or build a wedding chair, I think I may just post that file and have it available, because I can knock that stuff out pretty quick. It's not a lot of labor for me, unlike some of this balloon stuff. So that might be coming soon. So stay tuned. All right, thanks for watching.